Okay.
Okay. So water, they say drink 8 glasses a day minimum. How many is 8 glasses? 2 quarts. 2 quarts. 2 quarts of water. How many pints of blood do you have in your body?
8. I don't know, 8? I don't know.
Most people have 3.5 pints in their body. So that's a lot of water. Now, why do the Aborigines who live in up to 127 to 140 degree deserts never drink water? Why don't they dry out and, dissolve and evaporate and become sand? You know what they do when they're thirsty? They pull up a root, they scrape it, wring it out, that's what they drink. Vegetable juice. Concentrated minerals. You can absorb 100% of the H2O when it's bound with other nutrients in the body. In the solution. Water, only thing it has is minerals. So the H2O and the minerals have a link to be absorbed into the cell, but your cell really can't utilize it. Because it has no vitamins with it. There are no carbs with it. There's nothing with it. So when it goes into the body, the water starts leaching nutrients from everything. So that so cells can utilize it. And then only about 10% can be utilized. That means that 90% of that water that you will never utilize is going to rob a lot of nutrients and pass out your urine. The Aborigines who live in a desert won't drink water because it creates an addiction to water and it causes dehydration. Just the opposite of what you're told it does. It robs the fats from the blood and the nervous system, drying the body. Yes?
Do the Maasai drink water?
No.
No, they drink milk mixed with blood.
Yeah. Well, they only do that 3 months out of the year.
Oh, really?
Yeah, when the calves are, the newly born calves are nursing, they don't get enough milk. So they'll take a bull, take a bamboo about this long, they cut it open, so it's like a sharp point. They take a huge slingshot and they shoot it into the jugular vein of a bull.
Yeah.
You see the jugular, you see the bull down there eating the grass, all of a sudden the thing stabs into his artery and he goes right back into eating. It's maybe a gnat bit him. I mean, you got this big bamboo thing that's about this big around, got a hole in it like that, and then they cork it. And then they'll take a pouch, like a bladder of a cow or a calf, and they'll use that to fill it with half milk first, and then half blood. And then they drink that.
Every day?
Pardon?
Every day?
For 3 months. The 3 months that the calves are drinking milk, nursing. As soon as the calves stop nursing, they stop bleeding the calves. The bulls. But they'll only use a bull for 5 days, bleed a bull for 5 days, and then they go to another bull.
And then on the other 9 months of the year, what do they do?
They drink a lot of milk.
Oh, okay.
Because the calves aren't drinking. They have more milk to go around. Of course, they don't have another baby in their tribe unless the whole tribe agrees and they can feed it properly and everybody can care for it properly.
Yeah.
They always keep it in ecology with their herds and everything else. Everything is considered. That's why they're considered the brightest tribe in the world. They do nothing in excess. Everything is in a complete balance. Even taking the blood from the bull, it's just during a certain time. Not doing the bull for over 5 days. They know it has no ill effects on the bull. So everything's in a nice, controlled harmony. Now, I visited some Indians in Brownsville, Texas, back in the 70s. And they would bleed a goat the same way they'd hang a goat and bleed it into their goat milk. But they wouldn't let me share it. So I've been refused sharing that for many, many years. And 3 years ago, I was on, with a community who was on my diet in Hawaii, the whole Pangaya. And so we had a celebration when I was there. We had a goat. We had a ceremony where we had drumming and we put the goat to sleep, hypnotized it to sleep, hung it upside down. I slit its jugular vein. We had 2 gallons, 2-gallon jars with a half-gallon of milk in each one, goat's milk. And we bled a half-gallon of blood from this goat. This goat had had a whole gallon of blood in it. So it filled, we filled the other half of the gallon jars with the blood, with the milk. And we had about, of the 15 people that were there, 4 were from neighboring communities that were vegetarian. But they had heard about it and they wanted to come over and see this whole ritual. So we passed the blood and the milk around for everyone to imbibe. And you see the vegetarian, I thought they just outright refused it, because they were vegetarians. But they got so worked up in the whole thing because we had done the whole ritual, because we made the harness to hang it from the tree, to spin the goat around until it went to sleep. We cut it, so drumming and chanting, the whole thing, just to have fun with it. And, so when it came around, nobody refused. So that you could see, vegetarians going up. Even I did it, because I'd eaten blood before. And blood coagulates, it tastes like metal. Not the most delightful thing in the world. It sure gives you a lot of energy, but not very delightful. It coagulates quickly. But with the milk, it doesn't coagulate. So you see these mouths, faces contorting, getting ready for this bad taste. And all of a sudden you see eyes open up. And you see people guzzling. Just guzzling. It tastes like ice cream. Melted ice cream.
Huh.
It tastes such a change when you mix the milk. It makes it rich and tasty, like it's creamy and sweet. Oh my God, we downed the whole 2 gallons in 40 minutes. Kept passing them around. Nobody just stopped. We just guzzled and guzzled. It was great. And then for another 4 days we ate the meat.
Wow.
Aajonus, how tasks are used for cooking? Like if I have to cook for my family every day, and I stand around with cooking fumes, and also in addition to that I have a gas stove. Is this better? Is electric better over gas when you can run more?
Electric is better than gas because gas has a lot of fumes.
How toxic are the fumes from cooking itself?
Pretty toxic. Depends on what you're cooking. If you're frying, you're really getting some toxicity in the air.
Doesn't matter which oil, what oil or anything.
And all of them have those carbon vapors. That's why you see chefs always fat, always fat. They're inhaling those fats all the time. And then they overeat to try to clear that out of their system. But your raw food, chefs don't have that problem.
You say to eat 1 pound or 2 pounds of meat a day. That's not appetizing to you. You just, because you know you
Wash it down with
force
milk.
yourself to eat it.
Wash it down with milk. About 30 of my healthiest female clients hate the meat. They wash it down with milk, and they're healthier than
Not chewing.
and chewing it. You don't want to chew meat.
Huh?
You don't want to chew meat. You have the Tylen enzyme in your mouth, which is alkalinizing. It's for carbs. We have it like horses because we've tried to become vegetarians too many times and eating high carbohydrates like grains and potatoes. And it's not natural. Cavemen didn't have the Tylen enzyme as well. We do. So if you're chewing your meat, you're going to put the Tylen enzyme in with the meat, and it's not going to digest as well. Eskimos take huge bites, and, be the size of a golf ball. Sometimes, a little bit smaller size of a tennis ball. A ping pong ball. And they'll chew 2 times just to crush it, to swallow it. None of the tribes who eat meat, even if it's cooked, do not chew. None of them chew. Just crush it enough to swallow it.
There's animal studies, there's dog studies where they prove that improves their gut function. It's like, you know, like ulcers and stuff. If you do the ground meat, it exacerbates it. If it's just unchewed, it doesn't. It improves the gut health.
I'm sorry, I didn't.
It's just that it's like if you don't chew the meat as much, there's an improvement in the stomach health and everything. It's
Right,
from what
yes.
I remember, some article a long time ago.
Yeah, that's why I don't grind. I don't have my stores grind meat, and I usually don't buy ground meat unless I'm going to fix. Where I have to eat it fast and get it and eat it fast. When I get it, I get, my meat and I cut it up and put it in my food processor to grind it. If you put it into a high pressure grinder like they have in the stores, they put it two to three times, it homogenizes the fat, which means it splits the fat molecule. The fat molecule starts absorbing all the protein. The longer it sits, your protein then is not utilizable for regeneration. And mainly be used to make pyruvate to burn as fuel or for detoxification. So it won't help you regenerate cells and as well. So I put it in a food processor where there's no high pressure to split the fat molecules, fat cells. Yes.
If the meat grind becomes like paste with the butter, is it okay or it's?
Yeah, that's fine. It's not under high pressure, so you're not going to split that fat molecule. It won't split unless it's under high pressure grinding. And that's, what all the stores have is high pressure grinders. So if you want them to grind it for you, you have them put it through only one time with a larger hole sieve. Not the fine hole one that's high pressure. Yes?
Would you have a recommendation for hot flashes?
Pardon?
Would you have a recommendation for hot flashes?
Ice. I'm not kidding. That's about all you can do about it. Hot flashes, yes. What can I do about hot flashes? Well, what would I do about hot flashes?
I know you don't do anything about it.
All I have hot flashes is just looking at women that But it's a little different than yours. Sometimes you can create that amount of perspiration. It really all you can do about that, it's a hormonal discharge and a changing of the hormonal system. And usually there's a lot of heavy metals involved in that discharge. I've tried everything to mitigate them. And the only thing that I found that works 50% of the time or reduces 50% of the sensation is cucumber. It has to be peeled. Peeled cucumber. Peeled cucumber. Eating it, not juicing it. Eating a peeled cucumber.
At the time or all the time?
Once a day.
Oh, okay.
If you're going through menopause, heat flashes, eat a cucumber once a day. Peel a cucumber. No matter if it's organic, peel it. There's something about the cucumber peel. For a lot of people, if they feel they need Viagra or Cialis or one of those, Levotril, whatever they are, to make a hard penis, stay really firm. You can do the same thing with a cucumber. Sometimes, though, the peel causes the opposite, a softening of the penis. So, for most people, they can try eating the whole cucumber. For most men, they can try eating the whole cucumber to do it. Once a day for at least 10 days, and that's when it sets in to working. Wake up and you got a hard one all the time. I've been my experience. So, but if it's a peel on it, it doesn't work all the time. But when it's peeled, it works almost all the time if you get into it. So that's probably where they got the Viagra and Cialis and all of that, was they went into a cucumber and found out what caused it. And then they started producing in the laboratory.
I say it wouldn't work if it was juice, but it'll work if you eat it again?
It doesn't work if it's juice.
Okay.
Yes.
If you're juicing a cucumber, can you leave peel on or just?
Yes. Yeah. Unless, you know, you don't want to, unless you want to hard on it, you know. Yes.
Variety, is it important to not only, for example, steak, you have to mix it with others, or also how do you mix red meat with white meat and not proportion?
Well, it depends upon the individual. She asked, how do you mix red meat and white meat? Now, if I'm eating only red meat, I will at least have 1 or 2 eggs with it. I get too acid if I only eat red meat. I might even get irritable slightly. And you don't want to even see me slightly irritable. I used to be terrible. Now it takes a lot to get me upset. You get a bad injustice and I'll get upset real quick. But it takes a lot. But if I eat some kind of white meat or at least eggs with red meat, I don't have a tendency toward hyperactivity or anxiousness. Some people, especially if they're hyperactive, like Stephen, he will get anxious or irritable if he eats only red meat. That will happen to me if I eat it 5 days in a row with only red meat, without egg or some white meat. I prefer having fish with my red meat. It's much more calming, relaxing for the nervous system.
At the same meal or just that day?
That same meal. I mean, most people probably don't have to do that, but it's a safer way to do it. It's a more balanced way. And you will provide more varieties of nutrients each time you eat the meat. And that's only 2-3 times a day. It's better to have a balance at each time, as often as possible. I'd say at least 70% of the time. Yes.
What do you think about radiation from cell phones? And do you recommend the earpiece?
Absolutely. I've got a meter that checks radio wave energy and electromagnetic field. And there's nothing more volatile than a cell phone. You saw me, you didn't see me put that phone up to my head. You know, it stayed down here. And usually when I use it, I'll put it on something else. When I'm in the car, I have a slot for it to go in. Usually put it on a table, keep it away from me. Because it has both an EMF field and a radiation field. A microwave field.
Some say that's the wire between you and that. Just like
I put a meter right up to it, and there's never any kind of reading.
That's audio frequencies. I've warmed my ears up using putting a cell phone next to it in the winter. It's very nice to steer nicely.
Yeah, it does. I mean, my ear, when I first got one, it would turn my ear bright red in 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Bright red, burned. And I would feel burned for 2 hours.
You got to remember, this is not ionizing radiation. This is not like a nuclear weapon. This is microwave radiation, like what's in your microwave.
Right, microwave. It
The
will
only
burn
damage
you.
will do is overheating.
some cooking.
So
Well,
you're-
that destroys the enzymes and the vitamins and everything else in your ear.
I grant you that, but that is the damage.
It's still cooking.
Yes, it's good.
It's cooking.
Review it.
Yeah, your brain in your ear. Yes.
Plus,
Pardon?
I was going to say, plus microwaving, they've done studies on what it does just to the human body in terms of the molecules in the food are changed so dramatically that they're
Yeah.
now toxins. So your chemistry and your liver have to work overtime, and it's all, death, really.
Yeah. And it causes lots of molds to form. Lots of giardia and all other kinds of molds. Candida to form, to eat up the tissue. Because once it's in the microwave, bacteria doesn't break it down easily. So your body uses fungus to break it down. So, fungus are a little bit more difficult because they cause itching. Yes.
I have a curiosity question. I'm fascinated with your journey and the psychological shift from going, from the understanding that we've all been raised with, that bacteria is bad, and something that keeps coming to the
Yeah, but at first it was, God, I'm gonna try this shit. You know, all the stench, and, you know. It's very soft. High meat, you know, tastes like braised in brandy lamb. It's very soft, very tender, like melts in your mouth. But the smell is horrendous. So, I mean, when I saw what it did, that's why I get excited about it. But, you know, now, more lately, I smell it and I get excited, but it wasn't that way in the beginning. It was an acquired smell.
And that's my question. I'd be curious, and we've been talking about people from, you know, other parts of the world that, you know, eat in a way that we would consider
Gross.
gross. That like if we were raised with the understandings that you're sharing, that we would probably be excited about the fragrance or the.
Yeah, when I was with the Eskimo, when I first ate the high meat, every year during, you know, in the fall, usually September, they pull the high meat out of the ground, they take, you know, caribou, whatever it is, and they dry it a little bit, and they beat it and mix it with either seal or whale blubber, and let it sit in the sun. Then they bury it, wrap it, and bury it in the ground to start molding and filling with bacteria. And they only put it between 6 inches and 4 inches and 10 inches under the ground. So and it goes any lower, the bacteria won't grow, just molds will grow, fungus will grow. So they put it at a stage where everything will grow. So they pull it out of the ground and unwrap it. You've got green molds, you've got black, you've got parasites, you've got everything in it active, and it stinks. And because it was green and blue and all this, I didn't know that meat turned those colors. So I thought it was some kind of herbal mixture, you know, that they were giving everybody. But it stung terribly, it gave me a headache. And the kids, you know, they're just jumping around, they're all excited, and you see all the adults, they're happy, they're content, you know, but the kids are jumping up and down like this is some kind of candy, like jelly beans or something. You know, or cotton candy they're going to go after, you know? And I couldn't understand it. It was so foreign to me, so bizarre. And, you know, I had to stick cotton balls with musk oil, real bull balls, you know, in my nose to be able to get close to it because I wanted to instantly puke smelling it. I got a headache, especially on the right side, right lobe. And, you know, I ate it. And I mean, I was, you know, this was a time at the end of near my end of my 2.5 years, right before I went to the desert to die. And again, I thought it was an herbal mixture that I was eating, and I ate about a golf ball size amount. And I didn't get as cold because when it got down to 50 degrees, I was crippled in pain at that point. That's why I wanted to die. I mean, if it were 50 degrees, I was in so much pain, I was crippled, I couldn't move. That's why it took me 2 hours in the sleeping bag for the sun to beat on the sleeping bag for me to heat up till I was out of pain enough to be able to move. So, you know, I ate that for the whole 28 days that I was in Alaska, because I ate it a few days after I got there. And they told me it was, you know, raw meat, you know, and I didn't believe them because I just thought they were trying to coerce me into eating raw meat. I didn't find out until 20 years later that it was really raw meat, you know, that I had eaten. But it made me feel better. So after I realized that, I started experimenting with it. And it worked so well that I got excited about the, you know, so my worst nightmare was not even somebody who was dying of cancer, and it was a mess. My worst nightmare was a psychopath. Somebody who was just psychologically off the wall, ADD, ADHD, manic depressive, schizophrenic, you know, bipolar. I mean, you get a person like that and they can just drain you all day long, all the time. And if they're rich at the same time, and a lot of them are rich, you know, they can afford to be crazy and eat the crap that causes people to be crazy. You know, that they do that. They concentrate on the worst foods in the world and they eat them. And those are my worst nightmares. So now, get them on high meat. So I deal with only probably 1% of what I used to deal with. That is magic to me. That's magic.
How do you eat this high meat to be best? First of all, there are two questions actually. How do you eat so you can eat it because of how stinky
You have to put a swimmer's nose clip on your nose.
and just
and eat
swallow
it.
like
Yeah, damn quick.
not to bunch of them.
It's so soft, it'll just go down.
With water or something or with milk.
Well, never with milk.
Never.
Shouldn't do it with milk, because milk has lactic acids, will destroy some of the bacteria.
So what you eat it?
Drink it with water, or just swallow it down, because it's pretty mushy, it's soft. You'll salivate with it, swallow it, and then rinse your mouth if you want, with some lemon juice, or something to give it the taste if you don't like it. But usually the aftertaste people like. It's the initial stench. If you close your nose before you smell it, you'll never know if it's foul.
And this is on an empty stomach in this case, and you have to wait for.
Always 15 minutes before a meat meal, because you want that bacteria to feed on some other meat that's coming in.
Eat it 15 minutes before a meat meal, you said?
15 minutes before a meat meal.
So, yeah, wouldn't that be a source of E. coli reinoculation so you don't have to do the feces?
There's no E. coli in that.
In
Only
beef?
way you can get E. coli is, from slapping some bile, some feces on the meat.
Wow.
And I've done that.
Yeah.
Definitely have done that. Buffalo feces, put a little bit on there. You have to understand that people used to go around, and still go around, in Asian countries and everywhere, they don't use toilet paper. They use their hand and then wash their hand or don't wash their hand. They just go like this, or in the dirt. So you've always got that E. coli and shit in your pores. And then they handle their food. We've done it forever. And all of a sudden they want you to use these antiseptics and all these poisons, this Clorox that's causing everybody to damage their lungs. I mean, you go into these health food stores or any supermarket in the meat department, and all you smell is chloroform, because they're putting bleach down on everything, on tabletops, everything. And it's on everything. And these poor people who are working in that environment are going to get emphysema. Damage their lungs very badly. And now they're even having antiseptics they're spraying on meat before they wrap it and package it. So you have to be careful. It's like if I go have meat, we've got a source, we buy the meat directly from New Zealand as soon as it gets off the plane, and we distribute it, James Stewart, we have the Rawson Co-op, and we distribute it to everybody who comes in. We cut it up, put it in bags. We don't clean anything, we don't use antiseptics to clean anything. We just use warm water. So everything's clean and everything has bacteria on it, which is the right bacteria. We don't want chemicals and antiseptic on it. But when I go into like Wild Oats, when I get meat, or Whole Foods, when I used to go there when they had the New Zealand beef, I would have them get a fresh one out. I say, I want you to hose that off and wipe that counter off with no antiseptic, no Clorox. And I want you to do the same thing with the knife. And I want you to put that on any surface that hasn't been completely rinsed. Chlorine, Clorox. So, I watch them do it too. You have to do it right in front of me.
I was getting some vehicle in Whole Foods, and they said they're not gonna do it for me because organic they don't use antiseptics when they cut it.
But Whole Foods is full of shit. They don't have any organic meat.
Really?
Yeah, they lie. Whole Foods is nothing but a mouthpiece of lies. Scream organic, and yet they have 1% of organic food. Now, I recently called the Utah organic meats they say that they have, and the supplier says, we can't say that's organic. We don't know it's organic. Yet Whole Foods advertise they got organic meat.
What's the 1%?
They don't, all the ones around here, they don't say organic, they just say hormone antibiotic free.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
then that's the way it is.
Yeah.
Hormone and antibiotic free.
Yeah, because they can't guarantee they didn't eat pesticide-laden grains,
All
you know?
natural.
But they're all natural beef before that they had, besides in New Zealand. They feed it 15% bakery waste, stale donuts. So I called their home office and I said, wait a minute, how can you say these are all natural beef? What cow do you know that goes around eating donuts?
Where's this at?
This is a Whole Foods home office is in Texas. So they said, well, the donuts are made from grains which are natural for the. I said, are you brain dead? I got nasty. I said, if a cow's eating grains, that's natural. If a cow's eating boiled and oiled, refined, grains into donuts, that is not natural. Well, according to the FDA and USDA, we can say it is.
Gee,
And I said, don't you have any conscience at all? And they said, we're scientific. I said, scientific means you watch the chemistry change. And there's a chemistry change. Do you acknowledge that there's a chemistry change? Not that we have to change our advertising. So they don't care. They're out for money. And that's it. Yeah.
What's the symptoms of the sugar reaction you mentioned earlier?
You get really manic, and then you get really sleepy and tired, or
That's the
you'll
way I
get
lived for
irritable.
20 years.
Pardon?
That's the way I lived for 20 years.
Yeah.
Eat candy bar, have 15 productive minutes, and then
Crash. Yeah. A lot of people can go 2 hours with a high, and then they crash.
in
There's a lot of people. That's because you have really bad pancreas. Near diabetes, it's crashing that quickly. But most people can go an hour or two really manic and then crash. They'll get irritable and nasty. It's like a diabetic. Diabetic can love you 1 minute, stab you in the back of the neck, and change like that.
What about the fats? Like if you know, like for example, I have avocado, I'm not going to acid, or digest it well at all, and this is obviously you have a lot of fat in the diet. People a lot of times have a hard time just processing that food.
Well, yeah, I mean, not a lot, but if you're eating honey with all of your fat, it's going to be okay. Your liver
Some of
will
that may
recover
actually
quicker.
Some of that could be a detox reaction too, though. Because if you haven't been eating a lot of fats, and you start eating fats, your body will do a lot of things.
Yeah, but that detoxification or symptoms are different. But if digestion's slow, you have a little heaviness on the right side, no, that's detoxification. It's nothing to do with digestibility of the fats. It's fats carrying poisons out to the skin.
So celebrate.
Well, what you can do is eat something that will help neutralize those toxins, like eat eat pineapple with your avocado. Whatever makes you break out, eat a little bit of animal fat with the avocado, like butter and honey, or butter and honey and pineapple, or some kind of citrus to help break those toxins down, so it can come out without so many white blood cells.
what about like the cold processed vegetable oils like Flora's walnut oil or almond oil and those kinds of vegetable oils that are like in dark bottles and done at temperatures are like below 100 degrees when they crush
They're
them?
not under 100 degrees.
They're not?
They're all somewhere around 123, 127, except for the olive oil. Even the peanut oil went from 110 up to about 137. So the only thing that they have, two things that they have that are the right temperatures. They're stone-pressed olive oils, or most of their olive oils that keep below 93 degrees, 96 degrees, 96 degrees.
Sesame oil?
Sesame oil is high. All of those are higher. The flax oil and olive oil are the only two. They used to do a great peanut oil.
Yeah.
They stopped that when they got too big.
Yeah,
They started getting too commercial.
yeah.
Yes.
Can you comment a little bit on your philosophy on vegetables? Eating them once every 2 weeks, and how do you feel about vegetables?
Vegetables are very difficult to digest. Herbivore has 2.5 times more digestive tract than you do. Vegetables will pass through your system in 24 hours. And an herbivore in 48 hours. They have 60,000 times more enzymes to disassemble the cellulose molecule to get fats and proteins from it. And they have 2 to 4 stomachs. We have 1 to 2, basically 2. But theirs are much more complex. All 4 of theirs are much more complex for vegetation, digestion. Ours are bile and hydrochloric acid, which is all meat digestion. It's not for, it's not for vegetation. And the teeth, mostly we have cutting teeth. Very few crushing teeth to swallow the meat, but most of our teeth are all cutting teeth, which is great for meat. If you look at the feces of an herbivore, you still see 50% fiber in there. Comes through us, 90% fiber. So we use all of this time and energy and enzymes trying to digest the cellulose we'll never digest, but maybe 10% of it. And then it over-alkalinizes our intestine and destroys all the acid bacteria, which we use to digest the meat and dairy. So not good unless this person's intestines are highly acid, acidic. Then I suggest maybe 1 salad a week, last thing of the day.
So juice the vegetables, and you're not saying steam them. So when you're traveling in Vietnam, Cambodia, and Koh Samui, are you like 100% raw, or
100%.
You don't participate socially with
Yeah, I participate socially.
hot ties, no fried rice?
No, I just sit there eating my raw meat with them.
And so when you go to restaurants,
Avocados
you ask,
and eggs. And
you tell them what you want when you go to restaurants?
I have them make them steaks. I have them all make steak tartare for me. So they all chop it, like in Bali. I did the same thing. The problem in Bali when I was there, they salt the local meat. So I kept saying, you're salting this. I kept accusing the chef of salting.
They preserve the salt.
Yeah, they preserve it in salt, so it has to be washed before they do it. So I was getting a headache from it. And then I went to this one restaurant where they had in the packages displayed. And I said, I want that one right there. So they made it. And, and I watched the chef from beginning to end make it. Chop it up for me, chop just a little bit of onion, crush a little bit of garlic, chop some tomatoes, mix it all together, make a little volcano, break some eggs and put it in the center, and that was my steak tartare. Usually in steak tartare, you just break the egg yolks, and the egg yolks get mixed with the whole meat, it's all mixed together. But I'm not losing my white protein in the egg white. I'm going to keep it, so I'll whip it all together in the middle and then eat it all together with the meat. It was terribly salty, and I realized after that they salt the meat, so it would have to be washed. I'd have to have them wash it after that. So what they did was dip it in the brine. They didn't soak it in. They just dipped it before packaging. So most of it could be washed right off. But that's what I do, whether I'm in Thailand, Cambodia, Vietnam. If I go into a restaurant, I just have them make steak tartare. Never bat an eye and never refuse. Well, one European man that did own a restaurant in Thailand refused me. He was an Italian. And he says, oh, I'll make that for you. And he comes back and it's rare. And I said, you cook this? He says, well, I'm not feeding you raw meat. I said, wait a minute, you're Italian. You know carpaccio. Restaurant owner. Yeah, but I'm not going to take a chance. Okay. So I went across the street and had it there. No problem. But that was the first time in Asia that I've ever been refused. So they have lots of raw meat dishes. Culturally, yeah.
Just what do you recommend as a substitute for like beauty products like shampoo, conditioner, also body soap, hand soap, dishwasher soap?
I thought I put it in the recipe book, but some people say that I didn't, or they just can't find it. What I do, if I want to body soap. I'll mix an egg, I'll blend an egg with a couple tablespoons of coconut cream and about a quarter teaspoon of honey and maybe a quarter teaspoon of vinegar. And that makes a great body soap if you want to get thorough. Most of the time, I only use an egg, just a straight egg for a shampoo. So I'll wet the hair first, and then put it on after I wet the hair.
Just the egg yolk or the
The
whole
whole egg. I'll whip it up and then put it on. Also, I use it as my shaving cream.
An egg?
Yeah. Whip the egg up, put it on my face, and then shave it.
I just described the honey works good for shaving cream too.
Yeah, but it's a little sticky sometimes.
So,
Cut myself in a few times. It didn't work. But kefir does. Kefir works really nicely as a shaving cream, especially if you leave it on for 10 minutes.
Or it might
2
not
minutes.
elect the machine, whatever.
Pardon?
I don't know if you use electric.
For some reason, the electric razor just catches my skin. Can't stand it.
yeah, rips it up.
Oh,
How about
yeah.
dishwashing soap?
I don't use dishwashers.
No, just hot
I
water.
just use warm water and a sea sponge. That's all it takes. Only if you're cooking. You need some high solvent to break up all that carbon, clumping.
And then you would recommend some of the bioclean products? But if you have to wash the
When I wash my clothes, I use BioClean degreaser. It's made with grapefruit seed oil, some citrus rind oil, and I'll use only a cap of it per washer load. If I'm having people clean the house, they use that mixed with water to scrub the floors. It's very
So-
small amount.
So an overall body soap you say is just an egg? Or,
Well, remember I said
I didn't.
coconut cream, egg, and a touch of honey and a touch of vinegar. That's it.
Where can we go? Does anybody know where you get this kind of stuff local? Around here?
Which stuff are you talking about?
Coconut cream, raw honey.
You make your cooking.
You gotta make your own
cream. You
coconut
have to
cream.
make. You can't buy that anywhere.
we can order yourself.
You can't, well, you can't order it. There's no way you can order coconut.
Gotta get a
cream.
champion juicer and get ripe coconuts and make it yourself.
Yeah.
I mean, to a co-op. I've been in Carlsbad and Setia ordered.
Yeah, but we have a company that makes it for us. It's underground.
Coconut cream is, you guys have a source for that down there, it's underground, you said?
We have a company that makes it for us underground.
Lucky.
But you do what I did before that company came available. Took a 3x5 card and I put on my C9 stuff. $8 an hour. I put it up in a high school and in a gym. I got 50 calls. And I took a black but smart, lots of energy, but yet clear focus. Usually skinny ones aren't, but use black, so it's usually they're more calm than we are. And so he would juice, 8 to 10 at a time for me. He'd blend the lime juice with it for 5 to 6 weeks. So he made like $60 for the day. And so he'd have a good weekend, and he only had to do that job once every 5 to 6 weeks. He loved it. And that's what you can do.
So you do it from start to finish?
Pardon?
You do it from start to finish?
Start to finish.
Everything, the whole process?
You put the hole in it, get the coconut milk or coconut water, whatever you want to call it out. You break the coconut, take an oyster knife, I showed him how to do it. Pry the coconut out of it, coconut meat, slice it, put it in a food processor to grind it into grated coconut, and then just put it into the juicer. And just keep putting it until it got very dry. And it renders about 7 ounces.
Grate it before you put it in the.
That's the way I found in the last year, it's even easier.
Oh.
Yeah. In the book, I say, the second book, I say slice it thinly and just put it in, and it's very easy to juice. But I found it even works quicker if you put it into a food processor and you take the grated coconut and put it through.
How much lime do you recommend putting?
And it's less work
Yeah.
than slicing it very thinly.
Does it give you more
I just
green?
don't know from an impression.
The green star will process it.
Oh, okay, yeah. River works.
John Fox suggests to put in hot water to elevate the temperature.
Yeah.
Then the amount coming out is much. You don't have to be
Well, some people say refrigerating will do that, and some people say, yeah, it works. I've done it. I put it in refrigeration. And it, for some reason, the oils come out of the meat quicker. It's the same with heat. I don't like, yeah, even the sun, it will cause the juice to, the coconut cream to ferment faster.
So I do it quickly. So
Yeah, well, some people keep it 5 to 6 weeks at a time. You know, that's too long if you've done it by the sun, warm it by the sun.
How do you preserve this cream?
I just said you put lime juice in it.
How much?
Tablespoon to 2 tablespoons per 8 ounces, or 7 ounces.
2 tablespoons per 8
7
ounces.
ounces. Okay, we're going to end this now. I'm going to start the mini consoles. Oh, wait a minute, I never finished about water. All these questions came. Okay, water. The sodium, a lot of people say you need to eat salt to be able to utilize the H2O, you need to replace the sodium. If you're using salt to do that, salt clumps in the natural substance like celery juice, tomatoes, avocado, watermelon that are highest in sodium. You've got them coupled with all kinds of different nutrients so the sodium ions never clump. If you're eating salt, they clump in the blood. So what happens is when a cell, blood cell, goes to eat, it will attract a mineral that carries some other nutrients with it. And it's usually a combination of many nutrients. Unless people are eating cooked foods, and then they just may have some potassium with some saccharides or some glycogen. And then the body will attract the potassium molecule in there to bring the sugar in with it. Or it attracts the sodium ion to bring H2O coupled with some water-soluble vitamins along with it. When you eat salt, the molecules, sodium molecules clump. So what happens when a cell goes to eat, the magnetism is so great and the mass is so large it can't get into the cell. And this is so magnetically high, more magnetically attractive than the ions inside the cell, because the cell only has 1 or 2 ions in it. And it pulls those ions out of the cell. The cell can never eat again. So the cell will shrivel like a raisin and die. 1 grain of salt kills 2 million red blood cells. You've got about 100 million red blood cells fit on a pin. So you're not destroying a lot of red blood cells, but you look at the contamination that results, it's collective. So it's better to eat juices or tomatoes, avocados, things that are high in sodium to replace the sodium. But like I said in the first book, there's some people with adrenal exhaustion that have to have salt. For some reason, they just have to have it. And it doesn't clump the same way. It could be the adrenaline causes the sodium molecule, prevents the sodium molecules from clumping. But it is a very rare case that can do that. But it is people that are mostly thin with exhausted adrenals. And then they can eat a little bit of salt. Sometimes if you find that you're just achy all over, it can be a sodium deficiency. Then you want to concentrate on drinking lots of, tomato juice, celery juice, avocados, things like that for a few days. Concentrate on those till you get through it. And if it still doesn't work, have a pinch of salt, sun-dried sea salt in some vegetable juice or blend it in with some tomatoes. But maybe once a week, before it stops.
So distilled, I thought distilled water had nothing.
Distilled water has nothing in it.
So,
But still, water is the hungriest water. Water, what does it do? Water rains. It's distilled water full of bacteria. So when it gets into the earth, what it does, it dissolves rock. So what can eat? Plants can eat rock. Increases soil bacteria, increases molds, algae. So that plants can eat. But we're not plants. We don't eat rock. So what happens is when distilled water goes into our system, it starts ripping the minerals out of the intestinal wall, thins out our mucous membranes. It's the worst water you can drink is distilled water, especially if it's in plastic,
What about Paul Bragg? He did
because
that.
it'll pull all that. Poor Paul Bragg, did you see him those last years?
No.
Whole spinal cord deteriorated. Last time I saw him, 2 men had to carry him up on stage.
I thought he was surfing when he was like in his 90s.
He had to have people carry him because his back was all deteriorated. I mean, he carried him up onto the stage. 2 huge men on either side.
Wow.
And also, he had too much vinegar. Vinegar can do the same thing, dissolve nerve tissue. But he was one of those people who grew up in a time with raw milk and a lot of raw food. So he had a good constitution. He could abuse himself a little bit worse. He could tolerate more of that stuff. But in the end, it caught up with him. It started dissolving his spinal cord and his spine.
Wow.
Oh,
How old did you see him? Like, how old was he when you saw him?
89?
What year was that?
Pardon me?
What year was that?
I don't remember. It must have been mid-80s, early 80s.
I would love to do that.
so the feeling we have when we're thirsty, what's
It's
causing
not,
that? Or
most of the thirst here is because, like I say, most of your poison metals, free radicals, are in the brain. When they discharge mainly through the gums, the salivary glands, and the tongue. So it rips all the fats out around the mouth. That's why people start getting wrinkled faces all around here. Because the body's ripping the fats from the mouth area. All of the fats in your mouth replacing it. It's a fat deficiency. So get some honey and butter and let it swirl around in your mouth so the fat absorbs. Or get some of the fermented coconut oil from the Philippines. You can go to www.wildernessfamilynaturals.com.
We carry that.
You carry the
Wilderness
fermented...
Family Naturals product, yeah.
No, but it's got to be the fermented Philippine oil.
Oh, no, we just carry the coconut fat.
No, because they just started making it... I got them to make it proper, under 96 degrees, 4 months ago.
No, and it's a fermented,
Philippine coconut oil.
okay. Yeah, oh, yeah, I think I just got some of that.
It has to be the Philippine fermented coconut oil. They offer several coconut oils, but that's the only one. They used to do it at 110 degrees. Now they do it under 96.
So
I
you
got them to do it.
tablespoon?
Yeah, a tablespoon. Well, if you just put it in your mouth, if you're putting it in something else, having it with your meat or something to make a flavoring sauce, it's pretty nice. But if you're doing it to just hydrate, to lipidate the mouth, then you want to put maybe a quarter of a teaspoon in your mouth at a time. So you can do it 4 times a day. Let the oils absorb into the mouth area. Again, the best thing for that, here if you're getting too dehydrated around here and your lips are starting to wrinkle and chaff, honey has fat in it. It's part of the hormone of the nectar. So if you put that over your lips, it will help hydrate your lips faster than anything else. You notice I use it to seal my lip and also to keep it from getting too dry. When I used to just use butter or some other fat, even the primal facial body care cream, it would absorb too fast, and I would still get dry mouth. But with honey, it doesn't do that.
So, are you saying don't drink any water or?
I'm saying keep it to a minimum. You see me drinking some,
Right.
but that in this fall and winter, I don't drink any water. Summer, I may drink a cup a day, sometimes none.
And you said that was sparkling?
Yeah,
Is that carbonated?
naturally carbonated. See, when a water is naturally carbonated, if the water says naturally carbonated, it's good. If it says carbonated natural water, it's unnaturally carbonated.
Because doesn't the
Okay?
carbonation?
In the wells with carbonation, you have a water table and you have a gas table. So they put two hoses in, they shoot them into the bottle at the same time. Perrier's well is almost completely depleted in gases. So they've gone to Gerolsteiner in Germany, from France to Germany, because Gerolsteiner's gas level, nitrogen level, is so high that they are selling their gas. They're putting it in pipes and selling it to Perrier and some of the other companies who've lost their gas supply in the well.
You mean the natural gas supply?
Their natural gas supply.
So, well, I was asking because it's my understanding that carbonation leaches calcium from your bones.
If it's unnatural.
Okay.
But in my experiments, I found that it increases oxygen in the blood. It increases nitrogen in the blood, and then increases nitrogen in the intestines. For some reason, the high nitrogen allows more oxygen absorption.
So if it's naturally carbonated.
Yeah, naturally carbonated. And that's Perrier, Ramlusa, Gerolsteiner, Wild Oats Own Italian Sparkling Water, Apollinaris, San Pellegrino.
Those are all good?
Those are all good.
What about the Evermore? It has minerals and antioxidants in it?
The Evermore, if it's man-produced, it's not good. If they add stuff to it, I don't know that water. But anytime you add something to water, you're creating a greater imbalance.
So the natural spring waters?
Natural spring water, like Mountain Valley
Trinity?
from Arkansas, doesn't have any carbon in it, but it's a natural water.
A recommended brand of peanut oil and flaxseed.
I just said there's no peanut oil anymore. No. Flaxseed is not a good seed. Flaxseed is very sharp. You go in and lacerate your intestines. Even if you have a good mucus coating, it can cause problems.
What's your recommended of the oil, flaxseed oil?
Flaxseed oil is different. When you said flaxseed.
Oh.
Flaxseed oil is, maybe a tablespoon here and there. It's all solvent oriented. So it's something you can have as a supplement, especially for cancer. But it's not something that I recommend just for everybody.
Wouldn't it be better just if you're worried about your essential, omega-3s, just get it from the salmon anyway?
You don't need, if you're eating cooked food, you need lots of those unbalanced naturally that don't come in that concentration.
Right.
You need a lot of omega-3 and a lot of omega-6 and one greater than another. But if you're on a raw diet, it's the perfect balance. And so, Sally Fat and all those people say, well, go for the one that's higher in, omega-6. Well, stop eating cooked food so you don't need all that 6. Because of all the toxins that are formed. I don't get it. Yes?
For the gut to function properly, my gut doesn't function properly, but it's been terribly ill. But even if you take water,
Water is the worst thing you can do, put into a digestive tract that doesn't
what
function.
makes the digestive tract work?
Honey and meats, high meats especially. Eggs, lots of eggs. A lot of people I have come to me, they can't eat anything without an allergic reaction. I have them eat an egg every hour, 1 to 2 eggs every hour. It's all they eat, sometimes for weeks. All of a sudden, start introducing other foods. And they come right around. I had one woman who was going to die. Besides Alonzo, another woman came to me, she just couldn't eat anything. And her husband thought I was awful. But, you know, they had no choice because she was wasting away. And you know, I said, here, just eat eggs. And her husband, so guess what? It worked. And guess what diet he's on? And he comes to me every 6 months just for checkup. Because he saw his wife only diet, and she tried everything for like 5 years. Nothing worked. And then right away, whatever I told her worked.
Do you think your bones will grow back to the positions they were in before?
They already have.
They already have?
Yeah.
So you said you lost
Look,
4 inches.
it's fine. I've got it all back.
No. I mean, you said you lost
The
4
hip
inches.
bones all back. The femur joints all back.
But the width, you said you lost that?
Oh, from the milk.
From the milk.
Fermented to milk thing.
Yeah.
Well, I probably, because I was diabetic, my bones overdeveloped. So this is probably my normal size.
Oh, okay.
So, you know, they're all stable. Everything's fine. But I'm trimmer than I've ever been, you know.
Yeah, you were bigger when I saw you before.
Yeah, bigger bones, everything
Yeah.
was bigger.
Yeah.
I mean, I had to buy a whole new, I had two wardrobes from my medium to my, you know, fat size. I went from a 33 to a 37. And that was my wardrobe. And then all of a sudden I went down to a 29, 33. So I had to buy a lower end, keep the hot, the used to my